And this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Let's pause. To someone who isn't an NBA fan, you may be a little confused as to the weight of these few words. Why, almost immediately after, it led to reactions such as this, like this, and even this. An open letter from Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert denouncing LeBron James' decision to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers to join the Miami Heat as narcissistic, heartless, callous, and a kind of cowardly betrayal, amongst much more name-calling. The fans were mad because they were losing the best player in the world. Gilbert was mad because of this as well, but also because of what the decision represented. LeBron's 2010 free agency decision represented a shift in power in the league, from the owners to the players. With his decision, LeBron let it be known that regardless of how anyone else felt, he would be the one to decide his fate, control his narrative, and most importantly, do what is best for him. Before, owners were largely in control of an NBA athlete's career trajectory. This move, however, ushered in a new wave within the National Basketball Association, one of superstar NBA players wielding their power to not only choose the destinations but also to team up with other superstar players to ensure the best chance of winning possible. To understand, however, how we got to this, we first have to take this a little further back. LeBron James was born on December 30th, 1984 in Akron, Ohio. From an early age, James showed a natural gift for basketball. Entering high school, he was recruited by St. Vincent St. Mary to join their basketball team. He ultimately led this team to 3 state championships and was named Mr. Basketball in Ohio for 3 consecutive years. LeBron opts not to go to college, and in the 2003 NBA draft is picked first overall by his hometown team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. In his first stint with the Cavaliers, James, amongst many other highlights and record-breaking achievements, led his teams to 5 consecutive playoff appearances, won back-to-back league MVP honors, and led the franchise to its first ever NBA Finals appearance. At just 25 years old, James had conquered feats that would take the average NBA player their whole career to do, if that. But to LeBron, this simply was not enough. At least, not if he wanted to get to the
level that Magic, Michael, Bird, Julius, and now that Kobe and Tracy is in the league now.
To get to this level, LeBron needed to win, not just regular season games, but championships. And with each successive loss in the playoffs, it became clear to LeBron that winning a championship wasn't happening in Cleveland, at least not at that time. At that time, the Cavaliers failed to build around James. They failed to find a co-star for him to play alongside, which NBA history has proven necessary to a championship team. So since the Cavaliers couldn't, LeBron proved that he could.
You 3 kings came down here to win championships. Not 1, championships.
Not 2.
LeBron, tell us about that.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. Hey. And when I say that, I really believe it.
In the summer of 2010, LeBron teams up with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade to suit up for the Miami Heat. This move was unlike any other in the history of the NBA. Before LeBron's decision, seemingly longevity with the team was used as a metric for athlete success. And theoretically, this makes sense. The greater the athlete, the more willing the organization will be to invest in their long term. In the earlier days of the NBA, when the league was fighting off images of being too black, struggling to find corporate sponsors, and offering players low or unguaranteed salaries, longer contracts made sense for the athlete because it meant greater job security. But at the height and capital the league had grown to by the time of LeBron's generation, these longer contracts no longer made sense unless the athlete was placed in the right situation. If, however, the athlete ended up like LeBron, somewhere that wasn't the right fit, why wouldn't they seek to explore other options? Owners do the same all the time when they cut or trade athletes, regardless of the implications of this quote-unquote business decision on the human lives they're affecting. So, why shouldn't the athlete do the same? Owners have for too long held the balance of power within the NBA. When someone is drafted to the NBA, they have no say over where they end up. This decision is left solely up to the owners. Similarly, when an owner or general manager decides to trade away an athlete, they do so to whichever team provides them the best deal, often with little to no discretion from the athlete themselves. To many league executives, NBA players are seen as business assets before they are seen as human beings. NBA stars of the past felt obligated to prescribe to the organizational way of things because the owners were the ones cutting their checks. But what we're seeing now is about value beyond money. It's about power, history, and the long quest for black self-determination, said David J. Leonard, a professor in the School of Languages, Cultures, and Race at Washington State University. The modern NBA athlete cannot be controlled. At the end of the day, fans go to an NBA game to see LeBron James, not Jeannie Buss. There would be no money to make if it weren't for superstar athletes. Athletes today have realized this and their power. So while LeBron's 2010 free agency decision set a precedent in the league, it also issued in a new era. One of star athletes determined to stand up, take control of their narratives, and decide their own fate. And as empowered as NBA stars are today to stand up for themselves, they also recognize the importance of standing up for others. From participation in protests to launching voting rights advocacy groups, LeBron's generation is empowered more than ever to stand up for political and social justice issues that matter, and more notably, are determined to let their voices be known. Gone are the days when Jordan or Magic Johnson or Kobe Bryant toed the corporate lines during the peak of their careers. Today's stars feel emboldened to speak openly about race, to advocate social justice, and to publicly debate issues like slavery and its enduring effects, writes Kurt Streeter in a New York Times essay. These athletes are led by stars like James and openly supported by the NBA commissioner Adam Silver. But as progressive and political the league has gotten over the years, a significant portion of its fan base has been alienated. This, along with the inconsistency in teams around the league because of star athletes changing where they play, leads me to wonder, how has the player empowerment era affected the NBA? From a fan's perspective, is the NBA any more or less enjoyable to watch today than it was in the past? Has viewership at NBA ratings gone up or down? Has the sport or business of basketball been compromised? Let's find out. While many are against the player empowerment era of the NBA, and the reasons for being so are more than valid, strictly from a business standpoint, player movement and the super teams that have arisen from it have helped the league. In the first year of LeBron James' Miami excursion, which culminated in the Miami Heat facing off against the Dallas Mavericks in the 2011 NBA Finals, the series ranked at the time as the second most viewed finals since 2004 and the highest rated and most viewed Game 6 NBA Finals on ABC. And subsequent years produced comparable, if not better, figures. Fast tracking to the 2016 NBA Finals, in which the LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love Big Three took on the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. This series set historic numbers, becoming the second most watched since 1998 when Michael Jordan won his last ring. These finals were topped only the following year when Kevin Durant completed the Warriors super team. Despite critics describing this team as unfair, bad for basketball, and the 2017 finals as simply boring, these finals produced the highest ratings in 18 years, and its Game 5 was the most viewed NBA game ever, with 50.6 million total views and 15.9 million unique viewers. The 2018 NBA Finals, however, saw a significant drop in viewership once Kyrie Irving had dismantled the Cleveland Cavaliers' Big Three. These numbers only continued to decrease in 2019 when no quote-unquote super team reached the finals to take on the Golden State Warriors. Let's face it, NBA fans love super teams, and this point is reflected in the amount of money the NBA has generated over the years. Since 2001, NBA revenue steadily increased until Kevin Durant's 2017 quote-unquote league-ruining move, after which you see a sizable jump. This season, the 2016 to 2017 NBA season, represented the largest revenue increase ever of 26%. Excluding the 2020 and 2021 NBA seasons, which were largely affected by the coronavirus pandemic, since 2017, amidst much more league-winning trades and free agency signings, NBA revenue has only continued to increase at a rate much larger than what you saw in earlier parts of the decade and beyond this. From record-breaking attendance numbers to larger-than-ever TV deals, numbers-wise, player empowerment in terms of allowing players to choose and build their own teams has helped to revitalize and grow the brand of basketball.
To be honest with you, I'm more for it only because of I know the business side of it, just being in the basketball world. And at the end of the day, it's not bad for someone else to control their own fate. So.
Me personally, I dislike it because it's giving players too much power. So it's like, what's the role of the owners and the management?
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you go where you have to, whether people like it or not. You go where you want to be at, you know what I'm saying?
It's giving black men with their own money autonomy to control their careers. And I think, like, with the history of, like, organized sports and, like, kind of how they have framed it almost as, like, human trafficking a little bit.
And that's the competitiveness of the game.
I think super teams take away the fun and competitiveness from the game because you're going to expect one team to win, the other to lose because one team has too many good players.
I mean, because there's such a slim pool of super talent in the NBA, I think it does skew the powers that be essentially. So, you know, you have maybe 5 to 6 top teams, and then the other teams have to build through the draft. So, I mean, I think for a couple years, the super teams kind of skewed the power in the NBA, but overall, it ends up balancing out.
It definitely. Wow. No. So yeah, it definitely affects basketball, and the way that it affects basketball is that, for instance, the teams that don't have superstars or real big superstars, they don't really have any say. You know, they can't really bring players there and stuff like that. So that leaves them on whatever level they're at, and the superstars gonna keep on getting better because they're playing with other superstars.
Actually, I'm not a fan of super teams. I do believe that it takes away from the competition.
I think it increases the competitiveness because it calls for each team to bring together the best roster they can have. And I also think it makes for the playoffs to be more exciting because after the regular season, all those great teams come together and play.
Yeah, because the players move around so much. They can be on one team one year, and then the next year they'll be at another team, and then the following year they'll be somewhere else. So it's kind of like, okay, we're going to do the next year. Stay, we're going to go. So it's kind of up in the air.
No. I think if you're a true fan, then you're able to keep up. Switching teams is just, you know, finding the best fit for themselves.
Not really, because you can still just pay attention.
I don't. Here's why. I have a perfectly logical reason for that. I like players. I don't want. If I like a player, I'll support the team.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Gotta say, yeah. I'm a KD fan. Me and my friend, we actually used to play against him back in the day, way back in the day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, when we was all young. We all around the same age. And then Kyrie is my favorite, actually, point guard. So it's only right.
Yes, it's the Wizards, but they suck.
I like the Chicago Bulls because I'm a Lonzo Ball fan.
So you're a Lonzo Ball fan, but not like more of a specific team fan.
Yes.
When I was younger, it was much more exciting because it was more balanced, in my opinion. You had so many big names, and every team had like a superstar.
I think that it's less enjoyable right now. Reason being it's because the players have so much control. I feel like, so they kind of picking what team they could be on, and they bring in players to certain teams and stuff like that. Which I think that's that draws the line between the past, where guys were just taking players, they just working with what they have as far as roster.
I actually think it's more enjoyable today because it's such a nice combination of talent that's up and coming now, that's playing on the level of the superstars right now.
It's more enjoyable because when you look at the highlights in the past, it's less exciting.
I feel like it makes it more exciting because, players get to switch different teams and see who they click with and who they don't. And then even with LeBron and AD, they came together the first year, they won a championship. So I feel like it can work from time to time.
I think some athletes say the right things, but other athletes just need to keep their mouth shut.
I think it's bad because it's so fast. As far as when it comes to basketball, a lot of people use basketball to take their minds off of things outside of the game. So when you bring stuff outside of basketball onto the court, it kind of like gets involved in a lot of things.
So players like that kind of stand for something, I feel like, are definitely players that I respect a lot because they're using their platform to shed light into the oppression that people are facing, and it's they don't have to do it, but for them to kind of like put everything at stake in space, something more players should do. It's very commendable, and it's brave because it just shows that there's more to life than just entertaining.
I'm all for it. At the end of the day, they have a platform that they can speak out. They can bring a lot of things to light. Basketball is a sport that brings everybody together, so why not speak about different things that affect us in basketball as well?
I don't really get into all that. I ain't really want to see different type of people, so I don't really.
You didn't enjoy it?
Sometimes I question the motives behind people sharing their opinions, and because these athletes have such large corporate platforms, it kind of makes me wonder what informs their opinion. Politicizing issues makes it really a money thing at the end of the day. I still like people speaking on their platforms. I just am conscious of a bias sometimes.
I'm indifferent about about what they're saying, because a lot of time I feel like some of the stuff they do say, it doesn't add up with some of the actions. It's a lot of words, but when there's action behind it, it makes it more meaningful.
I enjoy hearing about it myself, yes. Me specifically, yes, because at the end of the day, a lot of people think that these players don't have their own thoughts.
You don't have to include me.
Well, a lot of people don't think that these players have their own thoughts or that they're educated enough to even have these types of views.
I'll still watch their team.
No, it don't affect it at all. I'm going to watch it regardless. So,
While these perspectives are in no way representative of the entire NBA fan base, they provide us a little insight as to what some fans feel. While most are in favor of NBA stars choosing their destinations, many others are against super teams, citing the impact it has on the competitiveness of basketball. I also find it particularly interesting that most of those interviewed have favorite NBA players rather than favorite NBA teams. An argument could be made that the inconsistency in NBA teams because of player empowerment has contributed to this finding. Finally, while many understand the importance and well intentions behind athlete activism, this messaging is simply not everyone's favorite. Those who enjoy watching and keeping up with the NBA, however, will continue to do so regardless of this commentary. Regardless of your stance on the topic, there is no denying the impact that player empowerment has had on the league. From an increased number of super teams to an even greater number of NBA athletes seeking out trades and destination changes through free agency, player empowerment has contributed to a vastly different NBA that is constantly changing. While many are against this new era of the NBA, the numbers suggest that player empowerment and super teams are not bad for the league. As mentioned before, hardcore NBA fans will watch basketball regardless, but what super teams and player empowerment have done is made the NBA more consumable for casual fans. Those less interested get to soak up instant headlines while tuning into games filled with star power and elite talent. In the modern NBA, there is constant change and new contenders, making for an overall exciting and more marketable product. So, maybe that means player empowerment is better for the NBA than some would like to admit.